Hey everyone, Hans here. Everyone's doing well. It's a nice and stormy day here, so I'm enjoying myself. And today I'm gonna keep it light, a bit mild, and make it a VR to Southern Nordic's latest video, which is, let's see, how many is it? The 21st of October 2021, something like that. I'm not gonna go into all of it that he mentioned because there is some personal stuff. Well, he went public with it, of course, but it's not my business as I see it to answer to it. There was one thing though that did interest me, which is the concept of fate and free will. As he stated, as he perceived it, that it is a false dichotomy, and I agree with that. So yeah, that's the video, guys. But no. I guess I just want to embellish a little bit. My take on it is that fate is how the world is essentially, or how society is running, and how your life gets caught up into it. And it is not exactly something that you have a lot of control over. You are fated to be born in the world that you're born into, no matter how it looks in the moment of your birth, and how it progresses or regresses from that point on, right? And there are many philosophers, as they call themselves, or others call them, and what have you, who say that fate is just fixed. It's a spiritual element and you can't wrench yourself out of it. And I find that to be a half-truth. There are some things that are fixed. When you're born, you're going to die. That is fixed. That's just a thing. And how our society runs. As an individual, you may, in the moment of your birth or in your childhood, be unable to do anything about it. And in that time, it looks like everything is going to be set for you. It's where a lot of despair comes from these days, given that we live in anti-white societies, right? People then think that, it's going to be like that all life long. But here is where free will comes in, as I perceive it. Free will is the choice to say, I'm going to surrender to fate, your choice at the end of the day. And you're just gonna sit back and let it all be, in our life's time, be anti-white. And that'll be that. Or you can choose through your free will to say, no, I'm going to change that fate. And even if I myself will live my entire life knowing nothing else but an anti-white society, then perhaps for my children I can change it. Maybe in their earliest years it may still be anti-white, but when they are adults, things change. Or they will make the change. That's the big one, right? Will you make the change then to create a world that is positive towards you? That appreciates your race's, its brilliance, if you will. Is there more than I can get into that? Because I truly have, as I see it, maybe I just, my own manner of acting in this. It is very well possible, as I see it for myself, that I will never know a world where I can walk in the streets and people won't look at me askance for having, if you can tell, blue eyes. And, it's a bit dark, but still a blonde beard. That can perhaps be that I'll forever, in this lifetime, be given a dirty eye for that. And it has happened. Just for that. Because, in the movies, these, apparently, it's an anti-white society. So that's what gets chewed out the most in movies. And don't you say it's not so. Only people who don't watch movies can, well, they can deny it, I suppose, but even then they're wrong. However, what is my response to that? There are some in my situation, I guess, who will look at that and say, or who face all of that and say, oh well, you want me to be a monster, guess I'm gonna become the monster that you want me to be, or they just sit on a couch and they just, do drugs, they indulge in petty, uh, whimsical, what would you call that, pleasures, something to stimulate their senses until then at some point, death comes knocking on the door. But I personally, I choose to say no. I want to do right by the world, and this is unjust. It is, it's anti-right, and I'm gonna stand up for doing right by my people, do right by the heroes of the past that we've had, the gods themselves. And of course, the beautiful habitat, as you can see a glimpse of it behind me, that is something I want to protect. It will never be a desert so long as I have a say in it. That's a little thing I can do. And of course talking to people, as I do to you now. This is my free will in the fate that has been set out for me, acting out to change that fate. There are the Norns, as Southern mentioned, and there are I believe, the Hellenic, there are Hellenic deities who are also kind of responsible for that. The Celtic, there are Celtic deities like, what are they called? Is it Sukelos? Maybe, or Suselos, and Esos. Not to be mistaken with some desert deity, who are deities of life and death, etc., etc. And like they decide it all, or the guy we all know, the Grim Reaper, or Hela, which is an interesting way of pronouncing it in the last fashion that I did know. Hela, healing. But it isn't so, I would say, that because, how shall one put it? It is all descriptive, it is symbolic. I personally am one of those. I consider the deities as, real entities who live beyond the veil, if you will, the other world. That people find that it is silly, that is up to them. I do not force that way of seeing it upon others, and I will not have others force their way upon me. Nonetheless, what I would say though is that when it comes to these writings, when it comes to these deities, it is that, how shall I put it? It is never about setting everything in stone. When you read something about them, be careful in how literal you take it, I suppose. And be careful with the interpretations of others, because that is what these writings are as well, right? A man wrote that down. Maybe with the best of intentions, sometimes with the worst. But it is up to you to take the good out of it and leave the bad. Remember, our myths are meant to learn. They are not meant to just be downloaded in your brain and then just rinse repeat like a computer. That is how other peoples go about it. But we are far too creative and far too free-spirited, I would say, to accept something as such. That is not us. Therefore, why would these deities be as such? These deities themselves, why did they become deities? Because our people looked up to them, because once they were perhaps magnificent people that ascended, if you will. Just the best of the best in what they did. Left a deep impression upon us, on our psyche, if you will. And we would never have a deity that is a dastard. If people believe that some of our deities are dastardly, are villains of some kind or the other, guess what? You are being tricked. You're being tricked by people who want you to be disgusted by your own deities, dude or girl. I guess I'm veering off a little bit. But yeah, I think it's still important to add that too. I hope that Southern Nordic can appreciate it. But yeah, don't hang on to writings too much. They're important, but they're not everything. Your mind, your own creativity plays a big role in all of this, and your free will. You are born to be a god yourself if you just will it to happen. It may take a few lifetimes, but who knows? You want some examples perhaps? How about Joan of Arc? She was basically deified, and she is. I would argue that she is deified. But became, and the church co-opted her, if you will, and turned her into a saint. Because that was the closest thing they could allow without having a bunch of angry whiteys, I guess, tearing the church down. Because they were messing with a hero of theirs. Yeah, French whiteys, but maybe nationalities are starting to mean less and less to me in a way. But that's more something on another topic or another video. But back to fate and free will. Yeah, it's your choice. It's your choice. Also, how much you're allowing yourself to be influenced by the world around you. I think that's what it comes down to. Which influences then will you allow yourself to be touched by, and which ones will you push away? Personally, I recommend that you stand for what is right, for what is good, and that which is harmful you push away, or you walk around to, whatever it's going to take for you. And as far as what is bad or good, well, here I have to respect you as an individual and just leave you with my hope that you have a good heart, a healthy mind, a healthy body, and a strong soul. And again, that it's all up for yourself to develop. You can develop it, if you will, along with your friends who are working on theirs. But at the end of the day, it is up to yourself. And your fate, by the way, no matter how the grand scale of things look like, your personal fate is something you definitely have in your hands if you will it. If you will it to be in your hands. How's that for a hopeful message? A bit of encouragement for you all. And maybe I'll get into it a bit more in the future, but I'm very happy with my choices. I've garnered a lot of good people in my life, and I've been able to get rid of a lot of nasty ones. That is something we all should strive for, because by almost automatically, once that is accomplished, your personal life will get better. And once you see children being born in environments like that, these children will have a lot of excellent examples, and they will have far more chance to become excellent people themselves. And what more could we want? Alright, I'm gonna leave it with that. I'm gonna go a bit more through the greenery, and you'll have a good one, and bye bye.